Katie. Today's video is long overdue. Way long overdue. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do a video where I talk more in depth about crocheting, kind of like beginner 101 basic crochet stuff, you know, like what to buy, how to do some basic stitches, stuff like that. And I told you guys I was gonna do it. And it took me a little while, but that is what this video is going to be. I might split it up into two videos. It might be a little long to do all in one. So I might do this video, maybe just what to buy and how to choose yarn and that kind of stuff. And then the next video, you know, either in a couple days or in a week or two, I can show you some basic stitches. This is not turning into a crochet channel. Don't worry. I just promised you guys that I would make this video. And so I wanted to deliver that for you guys. And also, even if you're not interested in crochet stuff, please stick around just for a couple minutes because I do have an announcement to make that I'm very, very excited to tell you guys. And I have a giveaway at the end. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in this video, but it is generally centered around crochet. And so I really do hope that you'll stick around. And I hope that you're subscribed to my channel, please. It means the world to me. But without further ado, let's get into my big announcement. So, most of you guys know, maybe, a lot of you guys, probably if you're still watching, you probably know that I have been crocheting since I was really young. I've known how to crochet like half my life. I also know how to knit, and I, you know, kind of did it on and off, but then I picked it back up again last summer to kind of help with my anxiety, give my hands something to do, be productive. And so I picked crocheting back up, and then in August of last year on my birthday, I decided to, you know, kind of launch this new little crochet business. And so I've sold, you know, scarves and blankets and dish towels and washcloths and stuff to you guys, and I have loved it. And so I did some of the selling on here, and I did some on Instagram and some through email and that kind of stuff. And so my big announcement is that to kind of like streamline everything, I decided to make a separate crochet Instagram, and I'm very, very excited about it. And so it's going to be called Shop Katie Carney. It is live right now when you're watching this, Shop Katie Carney. I would love it if you are interested in, you know, seeing more details about my crocheting, seeing what I have to offer to sell, or if you ever want to order something from me, or even anything in the future, because I have some other creative stuff that's going to be on there in the future. I would love it, love it, love it if you followed me over there. And so if you want to see what I am making to sell, or if you want to custom order something, it's all going to be over Shop Katie Carney Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram, totally fine. You can still email me. My email is in the description. But this is like the preferred place. The Shop Katie Carney is the preferred place to, you know, put an order in, or to see what I'm making, or to custom order anything. And so I'm very, very excited right now. Just to let you guys know, some of the things that are going to be up today are these blankets that I just made. I'm in love with this yarn. I have a hair in my mouth. I am in love with this yarn. I have 3 of them. They're about like 40 by 50 inches or so. So like a really good throw blanket, whether you want to put it like in a baby's room or on the couch, like laid on the couch or at the foot of your bed. This one, and it's like a soft acrylic, like cozy, thick blanket. And so all of them are like these 3-toned, like giant stripes color block kind of thing. And so this one is dark gray, light pink, and it's ivory. They're calling this color mushroom. It's like an ivory color. So I have this blanket to sell. I love these. I love these. I have this one, which is like a light blue, a medium blue, and a beige. This is how the stripes look. And this one is more of like a light teal. Is this teal? And then like a dark turquoise and a true ivory. And so again, these are going to be up on my Instagram. These are going to be $195, including shipping in the US. This is incredibly expensive yarn, and I love them. I think that they're gorgeous and cozy and comfy, and like, I kind of want to keep them all, but I want you guys to enjoy these as well. And you know, I might show a little bit on YouTube still and a little bit on my personal Instagram, but if you want to see more crochet content or ever purchase anything from me, Shop Katie Carney. I'm so excited. Okay, so now let's get into this little beginner crochet video. And so again, this is going to be very basic stuff. I, obviously I'm not turning this into a crochet channel. I'm not gonna go into super depth about things, but I do want to just kind of give you an idea of the things that I use, the things that I like, I prefer in terms of crochet hooks, in terms of yarn, and in terms of even stitches and stuff like that. So just if you're getting into crocheting or just kind of wanna like learn a little bit because it looks so confusing to you, this video, super basic, super beginner. And so to start, you need to buy some stuff, okay? You need to buy some stuff. If you're doing basics, if you're doing something in a rectangle or a square, if you're making a scarf, if you're making a blanket, if you're making a washcloth, anything like that, you really only need a couple things. And then if you get more into intricate patterns or something, there might be a few other things that could be really, really helpful, but I'm talking basics here. What do you need? You need a crochet hook. This is called a crochet hook. This is very different than knitting needles. I'll show you what knitting needles look like. I know a lot of people confuse crochet and knitting, which is totally okay, because they're similar in terms of you take yarn and you make it into something. So this is a crochet hook. As you can see, there's literally a hook. And then knitting needles look like this. So knitting, there's needles and you need two of them and you do this. Crocheting, it's one hook. This came in a set of 10 or something. Hold on, let me close this up. This is my little like knitting thing. I have a separate crochet one. Where is it? I have one for my crochet as well. I got this in a set of 10-ish. And I got the ones with these comfy handles because I have arthritis. And when you grip things for too long with arthritis, it can aggravate it. These don't aggravate my arthritis really ever. And this set of 10 or whatever was like $10 or $12. Very, very inexpensive. Got it on Amazon. I will link it below. And I like having this set versus just buying one or two because we'll get into the yarn in a little bit. Depending on the yarn, you're gonna need a different size crochet hook. And so I think it's good to have a set of them. I think this set starts at, let me look, like 2. Yeah, it starts at 2 millimeters. And the biggest one in this set is 10 millimeters. But there's some in between. For example, this is a 6.5. So there are some half sizes, some whole sizes. It just depends. Like here's a 9. Here's a 6.5. Here's a 2. They're all different sizes. And depending on the yarn, you're gonna need a different size crochet hook. Now, outside of this set, I also have some much larger crochet hooks because, oh, I still need this. Why did I put this away? I have like a little, like an ottoman with a top that I keep some of my tools in, but I need this because I gotta show you some stuff. So you might be thinking, Katie, if, there's one a little bit bigger than this, but how the heck did you make this blanket? Yeah, they have crochet hooks much larger than, again, this is a 6.5. This is just the one I have out. But this is also a common one that I'll use. But they have ones much larger than 10. And so if you guys saw those blankets that I made out of this yarn, this like velour yarn, this calls for a US S, which is 19 millimeters. And this is what a 19 looks like. So again, you're thinking a lot of projects will be done with ones this size. Look how much bigger this is. And then you still might be like, Katie, that still doesn't look big enough. You're right, okay. This is a 6.5. This is a 19. This is a 30. It's huge. I don't know why it makes me laugh. It just looks fake. It looks fake to me. But this is a size 30. This is what I used for this yarn to make these blankets. And so, I'm used to using one like this, and I used one like this to make the blanket. So they come in all different sizes depending on the yarn and depending on the project. So I don't suggest buying these giant ones unless you plan on getting these types of yarns, these really, really thick yarns, because kind of how it goes, the thicker the yarn, the bigger the crochet hook generally, or the bigger like the holes that you want, because if you see some crocheted stuff and there's like holes in it, the bigger the holes you want, the bigger hook that you will use is generally kind of how it goes. And so most yarn you will use, somewhere between probably like a 4 and a 10 millimeter, most yarn. So I really suggest buying like the kit. Again, I will have it linked below. And then if you decide to, get this yarn or anything like much thicker, then I would suggest buying these. I wouldn't really suggest just having these around. I would buy them if the project calls for it, but I would get the set just I would just have the set around. So after that, before I get into the yarn, I'm gonna tell you like the other things that I suggest having, and they're very basic. But the things that I think you need are a pair of scissors and a tape measure. That's it. Also, these scissors, I've used them so much. They got so wonky. Like this one's breaking. I gotta throw these out. I gotta get another pair. But I think you need scissors, and I think you need a tape measure. I literally, for most basic stuff, you don't really need anything else. If you are going one step further than basic, you might need a needle. A very thick, let me see if I have one. Yeah, a thick needle that has a big eye, is it called an eye in it, that yarn could fit through. Just for certain things you might have to like sew the ends, you know what I mean? And so I just have this. Again, I have more of these because it came in a pack of just these tape measurers. Or obviously you can even get one like this, a tape measure like this. Some of the other things that you might need if you're doing stuff a little bit more intricate, if you want to follow a pattern, if you want to make a stuffed animal, if you're doing a very intricate stitch or anything like that, you might need a stitch counter. They have all different kinds, but you might need a stitch counter. So something else you might need are called stitch markers, which look like this, which essentially does exactly what it says it does. It marks your stitch. It does not ruin it. It's not do anything. It just kind of like holds the place. I think these are handy to have around. Again, if you're doing a washcloth, you don't need this. If you're doing a washcloth, all you need is yarn, a crochet hook, scissors, and a tape measure. That's all you need. If you're doing a more intricate washcloth that maybe has a crazy pattern or something, then you might need these few extra things. What else do I even have in here? Kind of it. That's really, really kind of it. However, there is a little kit that I bought that came with like the stitch markers and maybe a pair of scissors and stuff like that for, again, like $10 that I will have linked below. And it's a pack that comes with like everything that you will need. And so it comes with the things that I'm recommending right now, and then some of the extra stuff if you're doing like a bigger pattern or something that you might need. I will have that linked below as well. But really, besides that, I think you just need some yarn. I just put that away now. I think you just need some yarn. And the yarn is going to depend on your project. So if you're doing something like a washcloth or a dish towel or anything that is going to be used a lot and get wet, I recommend using cotton yarn, like a high percentage cotton yarn. So even if it's not 100% cotton, still a high percentage cotton yarn. Let me get one to show you. Hold on, I did not bring that over for some reason. Okay, sorry. So they have tons of different brands. You know, the places that I generally go for yarn are Michael's and Joann's. I've also gotten some on Amazon, but I think it's a little bit cheaper in the stores. And Michael's usually has coupons. Joann's does sometimes too. But there are tons of different brands of cotton yarn. They usually come in these little smaller little bundles. This one is Premier Home. I think I got this one at Michael's. I think this is 85% cotton, 15% polyester. This one's really, really soft. And then this one is Sugar and Cream. This is a pretty common brand. And this one is 100% cotton. So it's not as soft as this one because this one has like the polyester in it. That makes it a little bit softer, but it's still soft. It's 100% cotton. And I think that this is just so cute. I'm gonna make this for like Easter as like, you know, some washcloths or something like that. Cool, my camera died. Hi guys, I'm back. Okay. What angle were we at? Oh no. So I was basically done talking about this, but the last thing that I wanted to say about this was just to give you an idea that this calls for a 5.5mm hook, and this one calls for a 5mm hook. Just to give you an idea. And so let me show you like what a 5 and a 5.5 look like. So this is a 5.5. So I would use this for this. If you want to use the exact hook that they recommend. Sometimes I will go up a size or two to make it a little bit looser. And then obviously if you went down a size, it would make it tighter, but I don't think I've ever gone down a size in a crochet hook. So if it says 5.5, I usually, depending on what I'm making and depending on the, like how tight I want the stitch to be, I'll either use exactly what they recommend or I will go up, you know, to a 6, 6.5, maybe even a 7, depending what I was making. But just wanted to give you an idea for that cotton yarn. And so this, again, this is what I use for anything that is like its purpose could be to get wet. Because anything obviously like acrylic or something, like you could still wash, but I use cotton for things that like its purpose is to get wet. So a washcloth or a hand towel or something like that, just because it's more absorbent than just like acrylic or something like that. You know, like I don't want an acrylic hand towel. So that's what I use these cotton yarns for. Okay, so that is kind of all I have to say about cotton yarn. And then now let's get into all the yarn that I would use to make scarves or blankets or anything like that. So, you know, I already showed you this yarn that I love. This is the Royal Velvet from Loops and Threads. This is the Michaels brand. It is so soft. It does shed when you're using it, like the ends shed, but once you knot them and once like you actually make the blanket or whatever, it doesn't shed anymore, at least as far as I've seen. Like doing this, it does not shed, but the ends of it shed a little bit. So you just gotta knot them, and once you're done with the project, it stops shedding. But it's so soft. I really, really like this. And again, with this one, I would use this hook because on here it says 19 millimeters. And so I bought the 19 millimeter hook to go with this yarn specifically. There's probably a yarn that uses a 19, but that's the reason I bought it. So then I have this yarn, which is Lion Brand yarn, Color Made Easy. Lion Brand is a very popular brand that you can really find anywhere. This is the Color Made Easy in what color is this? Pink Lemonade. That's a fun name. I got this specifically because someone ordered doll blankets, so I'm gonna make some doll blankets out of this. And this calls for a 6.5 millimeter, which is this purple one I've been showing you. One last thing that I wanna say about the crochet hooks is depending on what pattern you see or what yarn you're looking at or anything like that, it might say the millimeter size, but it also might use the terminology of a number and a letter that are not the millimeter size. So for example, this is a K, which is the US size 10.5, but it's also a 6.5 millimeter. And so depending on the yarn or whatever, it might say a different thing, but it means the same exact crochet hook. So a 10.5 is a 6.5 millimeter. So again, for example, like this red one is an S35, and an S35 is a 19 millimeter. And so they mean exactly the same thing. It's just some yarns and some patterns and stuff might explain it as an S35 or they might explain it as a 19 millimeter, but it means exactly the same. Just depends on the terminology. And so for example, this one says K 10.5, then in parentheses 6.5 millimeters. So again, all just means the same thing. It just depends on how you're reading it. And so I have some of this yarn. This is just a good acrylic yarn to make, I would say specifically like doll blankets. Even they're showing people using it to make scarves. And there's fun colors in this one. I actually just got it to make these blankets. Oh no, go back on. But like they have this like pretty purple and stuff too. So they also have, hold on, it fell. They also have some wool blend yarns that I specifically, again, would use for scarves. This is Cozy Wool by Loops and Threads. And this, again, just tell you, calls for a 10 millimeter, which is a US 15. And so they have this kind of yarn, which is still soft. It's called Cozy Wool. So it is still soft. It just has a little bit of wool in it. Oh, it's half wool, half acrylic, but it is still pretty soft. And then just to show you, what else? So this yarn that I use for the blankets looks like this. It's called Big Twist. I got this at Joann's. And this is the Big Twist ribbon, because like it literally, look how thick this yarn is comparatively to like, this is like a very common thickness of yarn. Look at this difference. That's insane. Can you see? That's an insane difference. It was really, really fun to work with. And so again, this on here will say US U, which is 25 millimeters, but I ended up getting the 30 millimeter. So again, each yarn is going to call for a different crochet hook. It also will tell you the knitting needle size as well if you wanted to get into knitting. And so these are just some yarns that I have around that I like. I also like a bunch of the Red Heart Soft Essential yarns, which are super, super soft. I'm actually making a scarf. This little ball, if you're like, what is this little ball behind me? This is a scarf that I'm making. This will be up on my Instagram in the next couple days because I'm almost done. Oh no, it's tangled, because I'm almost done with it. But this is I love this color so much. I think they're calling it cocoa. Just like this like cool toned brown. As you can see, I'm almost done with it. But I love this. And so this is obviously thinner than the ribbon. It's about the same thickness as this, which is a very, very common thickness. This is bulky. And I'll get into reading the labels in 1 second. I just wanted to show you a little bit of the yarn and compare it with the crochet hooks. Even though this calls for a 6.5 millimeter, I'm using a 7 millimeter. And this is what it looks like, you know? So like you really can go up a size or up several sizes. Anyway, okay. So now that I just showed you some of the yarn, like especially again, if you're making blankets or if you're making scarves or if you're making, you know, a cover for a pillow or if you're making a doll blanket or a decoration or a stuffed animal or anything like that, you'd probably use some form of acrylic yarn. And they have tons in the store. Okay, so now the last thing I'm gonna talk about in this video, because it's already very long, and then I will have a video again, either in a couple days or in a couple weeks that are showing you the very basic stitches. So you might be like, Katie, I wanna make a scarf. How much yarn do I need? How do I know what hook to get? How do I know how many stitches? All that kind of stuff. One of the things I love about yarn is that it literally tells you all of that on the label, all of it. And so on this label, it's going to be, I don't know if it's gonna focus. So it tells you everything that you need to know on the ball of yarn. So it tells you what this is made of. It tells you the lot number. You know, this lot number is 625126. So that means that if I pick up another one that is the same lot number, that it came from the same lot. It's the exact same dye. It came from the same thing. And so generally when you're doing a project, if you want to 100% make sure that the color is exactly the same, you want to get the same lot number. Have I ever really noticed a difference if I got a different lot number? No, not really. But that still is the suggested thing to do. Make sure you have the same lot number. That's on there. Some of them even tell you how many of these you would need to make something. So for example, this one says 1 ball to make a scarf. And then I can't read those two from far away, but they say 5 to make a sweater and 6 to make a blanket. Here's the thing, I don't trust those, but I do use them as a guideline. If that says I need 1 of these to make a scarf, I probably will get 2 or 3, because what do they mean by scarf? Do they mean a super thin one that's only like this long? If you're going by a pattern and they tell you exactly what to buy and how to do it and whatever, then you can trust that. Like trust another person who's telling you I used 3 of these, you can trust that. But if you're going by this, I always go up a couple. Like for a blanket, I don't even know how big the blanket is that they're trying to say. I think that they are probably telling you, hey, we have a pattern for it, but you still don't know on this what size blanket they mean. So don't exactly go by this. You know, there might be a little bit more research that is involved. But say we're talking about a scarf, if they say 1, I would still get 3. And you know what? You might only need 1, but you would much rather, please, if you take anything out of this video, listen to this next sentence. You would much rather have extra yarn than not enough yarn, because sometimes you don't buy enough and then you go back to the store and they don't have it anymore. So please, please, if you think, oh, 1 should be enough, get 2, get 3. You can always return it or use it for something else if you don't use it, because you would much rather, say it with me, have more yarn than not enough. That's happened to me before, and it's rough. It's really, really rough when that happens. And so anyway, use this as a guideline, but always get more, unless you're following a specific pattern. And if the pattern says you need this many of this exact yarn and it'll come out this exact size, trust it, honestly, still maybe get 1 or 2 more. Still maybe get 1 or 2 more just in case. So it also tells you the ounces, the grams, it tells you the yards, 100% acrylic. It tells you machine washable and dryable. It tells you the thickness. And so this one is a number 5 bulky. I think they go up to like 10. Actually, let's see what this one is, the big twist one. Okay, this one is jumbo number 7. I do think they go up to like 10 or something though, but like the common ones, again, this is a very uncommon yarn. I've never really seen a lot of yarn like this at just like the regular stores, maybe at specialty stores or something, but at regular stores, you will generally find that it goes up to number 6, like super bulky, generally. Let's see what this one is. This one's also jumbo, number 7. What about the wool? Now I'm just curious. This is 6, so this is super bulky. You know, they go down to 1, which is like fine. So they give you that information, and then they also give you the size of the knitting needles and the size of the crochet hook that they recommend you use. Again, sometimes they go up a couple sizes. And then the other thing that they give you, not every yarn gives you all of this information, but most gives you most. Like, not everyone definitely gives you like 1 to make a scarf. A lot of them don't say that, but some do, which is still handy, again, as a guideline. But most of them, they tell you, obviously they tell you the yards and the ounces and the weight, so if it's bulky or whatever. The last thing that I'm gonna talk about, and then I'm gonna stop this video because it's very, very long already. And I know it's just so much information. That's why I even want to split this up into a couple videos, because there's a lot of information. But once you start and you kind of like read this and kind of just understand these few things, even though it seems like a lot, you'll get the hang of it. You know, it just might take a little bit of time, just like anything. Anything new is going to take a little bit of time and seem confusing at first, but trust me, you will get the hang of it if you stick with it. The last thing that I want to talk about on here is that underneath, like, there's literally a picture of a crochet hook. Okay, see that crochet hook? And then see where it says like the K 10.5, and then see there's a number there and a number on the bottom. The number on the bottom says 11 stitches and the number on the side says 13 rows. What that means is how to get a 4x4 square. If you're using the 6.5 millimeter, the K that they suggest, then they also say that 11 stitches across and 13 rows up will give you a 4-inch square. Here's the thing about that. I don't really trust that either. It's a good guideline. It's a really, really good guideline, but in my experience, it's not always 100% accurate. It is pretty close, but it's not, again, for me, in my experience, it's not 100% accurate, but it's good to know. So like for me, what I would think is 6.5 millimeters. If I'm trying to get something that's 4 inches across, I would probably stitch, this says 11, I'd probably stitch on 13. And then I would go up a couple rows and then I would just measure it. When I'm starting a scarf or starting a project at all with new yarn, I will almost do like a little test patch to just see if this, like how accurate this is. So just do a little bit of a tester, but that is what that means. It means a 4-inch square. So like on here, it tells you, yeah, 4 across and 4 rows is a 4-inch square. So essentially they're trying to say, oh, and they mean single crochet as well, by the way, they mean single crochet. So this essentially is saying that each stitch is an inch. How about this one? See, this one doesn't tell you. So not all of them tell you that. So this one tells you what it would be if you're knitting, but it does not tell you what it would be if you're crocheting. It still does tell you use the 19 millimeter crochet hook, but it does not give you the how many stitches and how many rows to get that 4x4 square. So you can kind of go off the knitting one. You know, this is saying 3.5 stitches on a knitting needle. So you can kind of go off of that, but it's not exactly. For example, this one, again, going back to this one that it says 11 stitches and 13 rows gives you the 4x4 square. For the knitting, it says 13 stitches and 20 rows. So they are different, but again, if you're just using it as a guideline for like a test patch, that could come in handy. So again, in terms of what to buy, get that pack of crochet hooks that again, I'll have it linked in my description. They also have ones without these comfy handles that are just like metal. So you can get those as well. Obviously these bigger ones are plastic. But just get some of these. Again, I would only buy these if you know that the project calls for it. I would not just have these in your collection. I would buy this if you know the project calls for it. So now they're in my collection. But I would just to start buy the pack of like the regular sizes. And then I would have a tape measure, scissors, and yarn. Those are like the 4 things you need. And then again, the things like the needles, that can either be plastic or metal, and a stitch counter and stitch markers and stuff like that are definitely good if you're going to be a little bit more advanced in what you're doing. And then if there's more like really intricate products, you might need a couple more things as well. But I will have a pack of all of those like essentials. I'll have that linked in my description as well. Okay, but lastly, very quickly, I said I was gonna do a giveaway in this video. And so, this is like a beginner's starter pack for crocheting. And so let me show you what's inside really quickly. This is just like a little travel crochet bag or knitting bag, yarn bag, whatever. I am going to include this crochet book. It'll give you pictures on stitches as well as some patterns as well. And so this will super come in handy if you're learning how to crochet. And then I am also, here, there's a bunch of yarn. This is all like little things of acrylic yarn. So I'm giving you a bunch of yarn to learn on and to make stuff out of. And then I'm also giving you, see, I have one of these. I'm giving you one as well. It's a little bit smaller. I am including in here some of the regular crochet hooks. So these just don't have that handle. If you don't have arthritis, you don't need to get those, but they do have like the comfy handle. It's not mushy or anything. It's just much thicker, so it's easier to hold if you have arthritis. If you don't have arthritis, you probably won't know the difference. So here's just a pack, including 5 crochet hooks. I am also including a tape measure in that green color. I am including, here, I'll show you. I'm also including some stitch markers. There's a couple different kinds in here. So whenever you need to mark a stitch or remember a stitch, you can use a stitch marker. And then I am also, as a little extra, including some knitting needles. And this pack of knitting needles, these are actually circular knitting needles. And so you could make anything that's circular a lot easier, like if you're making a hat or something, but also you can just use them as regular knitting needles as well. But it just comes in this little kit, which is really, really cool. And so that is it for this little giveaway. If you want to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment and just say that you want to enter the giveaway. You can say whatever else you want, and please give me a way to contact you. So either an email address, an Instagram account, anything like that, and I will choose someone in the next few days and send this over. In America, by the way. This is an American giveaway. So if you're interested as just a little like starter crochet pack, I would love to give this to one of you guys. So again, just leave a comment and just mention that you want to enter the giveaway and give me a way to reach out to you. And that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know that this video is definitely not for everyone, but I hope that the people who wanted to see this video, I hope that it helped you a little bit. I know, again, I know it's really confusing to hear all this stuff at once, but I hope that once you get started, it starts to all kind of make sense. And I'm gonna do one more crochet video soon, so I hope you are subscribed. And I really hope that you're following me on Instagram on Katie Carney, which is just my personal Instagram, but as well as Shop Katie Carney, where you can look at all my crocheted stuff, or you can order something custom that I can make for you. So I guess that's gonna be it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.